everyone, it's MK. Welcome back to MK Quilts and this week's installment of Tip of the Week. Now, I told you guys before that during this whole year, I'm going to be doing tips of the week, and sometimes they will be focused on Pro Stitcher things, simulation things, but I also told you that I would be doing just general kind of quilting tips, how I work here in my studio. So today I have a quilt on the frame where I can show you one of those quilting tips, and it has to do with some of the custom feet that come from Handy Quilter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to show you this quilt that I'm working on. And right now on my Infinity, I have the Handy Quilter square foot on my machine. Now you might be thinking, why would she be stitching with a square foot? Well, I'm just about to finish out a border and I want to show you a trick with the foot that can make your marking very, very easy. So let me flip the camera around and let's zoom in on the quilt and let me show you. All right, so here we are at the quilt. It's a beautiful Christmas quilt, actually, but this beautiful wide border here at the bottom. This is what was calling to me on this quilt. So in days gone by, let me just show you. In days gone by, I would use this foot to mark my borders. This is part of the Handy Quilter Echo Feet set, and this is the 1/2-inch Echo foot. And by using the 1/2-inch Echo foot, I would be able to run the foot right along the edge of the border so that when I'm doing my multi-point marking for my border, ultimately my binding would not cover up my stitching. Well, that was awesome, and it worked for me for a long time. But now Handy Quilter has come out with these square feet. And they come in a set of 2. So here is the 1/4-inch version. You might like to use this foot if you do any, let's say, piecing on your long arm, flip and stitch, or stitch and flip rather, type of piecing on your long arm. This would be a perfect one for that because it's 1/4-inch from the needle to the edge of the foot. But the one that I have on today is the 1/2-inch. And again, I'm going to be using it to mark my border. And if I mark my border while I run the foot along the edge of my quilt, I'm going to be marking a perfect 1/2 of an inch from the center to the edge of the foot, which means when I attach my binding, which is going to be approximately 1/4 of an inch when it's stitched on, then it won't cover up my stitching. So I have an extra set of hands here today, so I'm going to hand the camera off and have Ellen hold the camera while I show you how I'm going to mark this last border along the edge. All right, so on the screen right now, you're going to see that I have this beautiful little snowflake design. And what I want to do is mark my border and then pop that border into my area. If I have to do a little bit of skewing, we'll do that because we want it to fit just perfectly before we start stitching. Okay, so down here on my border, and I'll try to keep my hand out of the way so that you can see me mark this. Now, one of the things, you guys, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing with our new models of the Handy Quilter machines is that we have laser light at the needle and we have programmable handlebars, right? So I can do all of my marking for this border using my handlebar. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and put my first mark over here in the corner. I'm going to come down towards my quilt edge, and then I'm just going to run along the edge of the quilt. Anywhere where I feel maybe the border is just a little bit wavy or a little bit, not straight, I'm just going to put a mark there. I'm going to come over into my corner, and now that I have a square foot on rather than a round foot, it's going to make it very easy for me to get just perfectly right down there in the corner. Now, one other thing I'm going to do on this quilt is I can tell that the corner is just a little bit out of square. So I'm coming up here a little ways, and then I'm going to come perfectly straight down to the edge of the quilt. So even though I'm a little ways away from the true corner of this quilt, I think when my customer goes to square this up, she's going to be trimming off this little portion down here anyways. But if your quilt was a little bit more, perfectly square in the corner, what you could do is come right perfectly into the corner with that foot. Okay, let me do that one more time since I moved my machine out of the way. I'm going to come down and I'm going to put my last mark right there. Then I'm going to go up. I'm paying attention now to the top part of my border, my pieced border, and I'm going to come along once again using that laser light to get me just perfectly as close to my sashing there as I want to be. One of the things sometimes that I do also, you guys, is I use the actual hole in the middle of the foot as a guide for how close I want to be to my seam line. Okay, I'm watching my screen. You can't see it, but I'm watching my monitor, my tablet, to see where I started. I'm going to put one final mark right there. All right, I'm going to have Ellen just scan up onto the screen and show you that now I have an area box marked. I'm going to take the border that I created ahead of time in simulation. I'm going to go ahead and loosely align that into the center of my area box just to double check that I made it correctly in simulation. It looks like the size is basically correct. It's a little bit off because of that corner not being square. No problem. We're just going to go immediately to modify, skew. We're going to do skew 2. Now that border is in there perfectly. And I'm going to have Ellen scan up here onto me while I give you my last and final tip. And if you have taken any of my classes, you know what I'm about to do. Anytime I skew, what am I going to do? I'm going to baseline, I'm going to save, and then I'm going to stitch. Okay, that's all I got for you today, guys. I hope that was helpful. If you would like a set of the square feet, please reach out to us. They are on our website right now, and they are very, very useful for this border marking technique. But as mentioned, you might want to get them for some piecing or even adding binding while your quilt is still on the frame. They were great for that too. All right, until next time, you guys, from my studio to yours, happy quilting. Bye-bye.